What's up, and welcome in to Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe and comment on the things that we talk about. We got plenty of content for you from college football to the NBA and the Bulls and everything else in between. I got a chance to talk to the first time to an expert on baseball. You can check out my conversation with someone that I admired for a long time, Russell Dorsey from Apple TV and Yahoo Sports covers baseball. It's all there. So check it out again on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. And we're having so much fun and definitely having fun talking college football with Darius Brockett from Brockett Media. Make sure that you follow him on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button for his content. Also from College Sports Nation, Darius Brockett joins us right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood as we cannot wait for the Thanksgiving holiday and the great college football we're going to check out. Darius, as always, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me. Whenever you ask, I'm always going to show up. Uh, you have given me a platform, and B, I've listened to you ever since you reached out to me, and I love what you do. Again, we were talking before we got on. I mentioned CM Punk, and you had him on, and
Yeah.
I may not be the biggest wrestling fan. I haven't watched wrestling in a long time, but CM Punk was part of my childhood, and I've been watching wrestling at least until the John Cena retirement tour is over. So I definitely have to go take a listen to that.
Yeah, man. It's I'm glad you helped me promote that because I forgot. Yeah, CM Punk was with us on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show. You can check that out. Also, a part of the mix on the Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood show. So much content, and we appreciate you checking it out wherever you are watching or listening to us from. And so we turn to college football. I have a question. May I start with a question, sir?
Always.
Okay. Darius Brockett, is the following statement correct? A two-loss SEC or a two-loss Big Ten team, or a one-loss ACC or a one-loss Big 12 team, can that formula get at-large bids in your view?
Yes. They can get at large bids because what the committee has showed us is it's all about the eye test first and foremost, but also they've slightly have made emphasis on not punishing teams who will play in those conference championship games. So if we look at a one loss Big Ten, which how it looks so far, as we stand talking today, it will be Ohio State, Indiana playing each other in the playoffs, and whoever loses that game still presumably a lock. Where even if a Texas A&M, if they have a one loss, and how we see it today, whoever they play, if they win, they're in. If they were to lose an SEC championship game, it is a lock. However, when it comes down to the ACC and the Big 12, even those a two-loss Big 12 team is more so a better lock than a two-loss or a 2 to 3 loss ACC team if they were in the college football playoffs or if they were to make the conference championship of the ACC. So it is easier to see those arguments for the Big 10 and the SEC and the Big 12 than it is for the ACC by itself.
So as we take a look at it today, what do you look at the ACC today? If you were putting together the bracketology of it all in college football?
If we're putting it together today, the only way the ACC can have a true standing chance and maybe not compete for a national championship, but at least have someone to represent the playoffs, Virginia. Virginia has to win. They're in. SMU has now brought their name into the forefront. Most likely, they will be ranked at the College Football Playoff Committee when on Tuesday, so that gives them a chance. But those two teams have the best chance to represent the ACC. I know people are asking, where's Miami? Miami has to get in that large bid to get in. That's very hard to do. And Miami's best chance of making the college football playoffs would have to be winning the ACC conference. And given the scenarios that we've all talked about and everything that you need to happen, Miami would need about 8 different possibilities to happen. You would need Virginia to lose. You need SMU to lose. You have to beat Pitt in a dominating fashion. Georgia Tech
Yeah.
would have to fall because you will own the tiebreaker against Georgia Tech, but it's a lot. So your two best friends to help you in this case, if you're the ACC, Virginia being right now your highest ranked conference champion because they hold the tiebreaker and the keys to their own destiny to making the ACC, and then possibly SMU if they win out on this final week of the season, and they will duke that out. So those are your best two possibilities.
What was the biggest surprise for you over the weekend, Darius? Because I'm watching Pitt just run over Georgia Tech, and I'm like, what? Like they weren't even on the field. I've seen Georgia Tech, and I know how good that team has been. But boy,
Yeah.
that was just a mismatch. What about for you?
So I wish I could say that. I wish I could say that was the biggest surprise. It really wasn't. If you look at what Georgia Tech has done throughout this entire season, they kind of escaped death every turn, every corner since they beat Clemson. They play Wake Forest, they get away with the offsides penalty that should have been called and it's not, and they get a massive stop on that fourth down, and that's what helps them win that game. And in any game that you've watched them play, it seems like they're a one half team where they start real slow with Haynes King and trying to get that, and Brinke trying to get that offense going and having to rely on the defense a lot more. So that game didn't really surprise me. What did surprise me, I would say Notre Dame. Notre Dame
Mhm.
surprised me from the way they won. Again, common opponents matter. They play Syracuse, and although we look at Fran Brown and that Syracuse team is like, what happened? You guys fell off a wagon after getting the 10 wins. Notre Dame's dominance is what's been clearly the most surprising part. You go have 21 points before your offense even touches the ball. And then not only once your offense touches the ball, you have a running back in Jeremiah Love who should be going to New York by the end of this year, putting up a masterclass of a game, having eight touches for only 171 yards. Then your backup running back in Jadarian Price having 70 yards on the ground with only 4 touches and dominating the time possession. I know we all look at it and say it's Syracuse at this current stage when we have look at the eye test, but the overall dominance of Notre Dame has been what's really been surprising. And then even on the flip side, if I go transition to the SEC, Oklahoma, not only did Oklahoma beat Alabama the week before, they come
Mhm.
into this game and the biggest question was their offense. How good will John Mateer look? How well can we trust this offense? John Mateer has struggled since coming back from that hand surgery on that thumb, and the offense just hasn't clicked well. But Brent Venables being a master of defense ever since he took over the play calling this season, we saw a night and day switch within this defense. One of the best defenses in the country, and still without having R. Mason Thomas. So those two teams by far are my biggest surprise of this weekend.
But Darius, 2 weeks ago, the way Pitt lost, that was a bad loss for them. I just didn't know that they'd have that kind of firepower early, the way they did early and often against Georgia Tech. I didn't expect that.
Not at all. Look, the thing about Pitt is this team isn't a bad team. It's
Mhm.
just they are not in the right situations at every given moment. Again, they have Eli Holstein, who they start. Then they bench him for the freshman and Mason Heinschel, and their offense definitely looks different. And again, when they play Notre Dame, we'll credit Notre Dame's defense and also a
Yeah,
freshman quarterback that's playing, a true freshman quarterback at that. So that's how I look at that game when, again, I know we shouldn't just always say Notre Dame, Notre Dame, Notre Dame, but that's what it was. Notre Dame put on a dominant fashion,
they
and
did.
it showed that they had the better players. So when you look at them, fast forward to this week, Pat Narduzzi, his whole goal was win the ACC. So him losing to Notre Dame didn't bother him at all. His guys probably had the least amount of pressure put on them, and to go perform on prime time again in Bobby Dodd Stadium in Doak Stadium, it was amazing. It was amazing to see that. So, Pitt, congratulations to you guys. It was a great win. But again, Georgia Tech has been a team that has been skating death all year long. And in my
Mhm.
eyes, they are last year's Miami, where you had this great offense in Cam Ward. You have this great quarterback in what could be a Heisman candidate in Heinz King at Georgia Tech, and a high powered offense, but a defense that just couldn't stop anybody. So that's just what it came down to, a team that starts slow and skate death, and it finally bit them in the butt this time.
Saw Ohio State run right over Rutgers in dominant fashion. With Julian saying the quarterback and defense has just been an amazing run for the Buckeyes here in the regular season. I just want to know from you if you could pick a team that would give Ohio State their toughest test in the college football playoff.
Ooh, let me go look. Let me go look. Let me go look. Toughest test. It's hard to go down the list, and it doesn't seem like a lot of teams could hang with Ohio State. My best given statement would be
Mhm.
Texas A&M because they also have a really great defense. They are well coached under Mike Elko. They have Marcel Reed, and if we get the Texas A&M that we saw in the second half of that South Carolina game, that team does know how to put up more than 14 points, more than 6 points that Ohio State has usually gave up. So that would be the team that I would go with for now, but it's only because the evidence that we see, and I'm gotta do matchup for matchup, offense for offense, defense for defense, that I think can compete. Is great. Indiana is a good team, but there's part of me that still doesn't know that they could match up. Their defense can compete with Ohio State's offense.
That still will be an interesting matchup, though. I think we
Oh, Big
and hope
Ten's
and
gonna be
we're
so
going to
fun.
see it. Yeah,
That
yeah.
will
There's no
settle
doubt.
so much.
Speaking of that, Oregon Ducks just took care of USC. I was so impressed by the running game from Noah Whittington, 179 yards on the ground, 257 in the air by Dante Moore, the quarterback for the Oregon Ducks. So, what do you think their shelf life is in the playoff? Because we've seen again terrific offense, and again Oregon's been the bridesmaid for so long. What can they do to be able to push their way through the glass ceiling?
Health is wealth in this business. We always know that in order to win the title, not only do you have to be good, you need a little bit of luck, but you got to be healthy. Oregon wins that game without DeCorian Moore, who's their best receiver. They lose their center midway through the game, who ends up coming back. But they've played a lot of these on the back end of the schedule hurt. They haven't had a lot of healthiness. And the one thing Dan Lanning has done, he's relied on the physicality of this team and started leaning in a little bit on, hey, we're going to run the ball. Although it may not look like it, we are going to run the ball. And they've allowed themselves to be more aggressive, something that we haven't seen from an Oregon team in a long time. And not just saying that as they can't run the ball, but a lot less of, oh, we're going to build on these explosive plays of doing a jet sweep or throwing the ball deep downfield. No, we're going to grind it out. We're going to punch you in the face. And then you have a special teams unit that is solid. You got a punt return last Saturday. And it's
Yeah.
something that rarely happens, but when it does, it flips the momentum and you can see it just shuts the lights off on opposing teams. So health is wealth first and foremost. If they are healthy, they could be a national championship contender because they would need that extra week of rest. This is one of those teams where, or in this moment, in this scenario, not playing in that conference championship game will help you out if you can get your guys back. So health is the only way that I can see this team being a national championship contender.
So as far as the Heisman hopefuls are concerned, this is Diego Pavia's Heisman to win, right? Because that's not Arch Manning, even though he might be invited, and that's not Mestermaker from North Texas. This is Pavia's award, correct?
I, what Okay. Will we see Pavia in New York? Yes,
Yes.
1000%. I believe Diego Pavia will be in New York. The game that he played against Kentucky was finally his Heisman breakout moment. I know if he's had games where we're watching and we're like, oh, this guy is really good. But this guy finally showed us, like, on the using the air, throwing the ball 70 yards, 60 yards downfield, where we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But there's a quiet voice of Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. The first
Hmm.
2 weeks, the run game was absent. But since then, the guy has almost toted the ball 96 yards every time he's on the field. He has a 96-yard average. And slowly but surely, he has put together more of a highlight Heisman moment than we've seen from Diego. Diego has the hype. Diego's great. I definitely see him in New York. If I had to pick my three who would be in New York, it would be Jeremiah Love, Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia. I know Julian Sand should be on that conversation, but I think he'll fall just short in being a finalist. But those are the three that I would see in New York.
No Mestermaker from North Texas. Could you imagine?
I would love to. It just you got to have the moments against the teams
Yeah.
where everyone's eyes are on. And unfortunately, the same thing with if like Oregon or someone from the West Coast, when you're Pac-12 after dark, when it used to be in those eras, it was
Yeah.
hard to always hear the committee, the guys wanting that, unless you were a Marcus Mariota or a close enough Christian McCaffrey. It's hard to do that when you're playing games with that not a lot of people are going to watch.
Too bad that Arch, the young player, and it's funny, Darius. I think we talked about this before about how we cover college football players or college athletes.
Yeah,
We cover them like the pros now, even though they're in college because of how much money they make. So now the narrative has changed, and so I have never seen a college athlete raked over the coals like Arch Manning. Like it's like people are expecting him to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, and even though he's paid well, doesn't mean that he's going to develop the same. So Arch could have been there, but Arch has been average or underwhelming at times.
the thing that went down with Arch It's literally the curse of having the last name Manning. That is
Yeah.
all. He did not look terrible. He did not look as the season went on. Steve Sarkisian said it himself. You saw the growth in Arch Manning. You saw the confidence, and then he has a game where he might look a little shaky, and then they lose, and then everyone's like, "Arch, what's going on? That's terrible." And I was one of those people too. I won't. I criticized the game for how I saw it, but I never would just throw him away. I always looked at it as this is his first time starting. Yeah, he might have came in, but it was against Louisiana Monroe. It was against games and teams that, in their eyes, are cupcake games or gimme games. This
Yeah.
was also one of those games where it's a little flaky, it's cupcakey. That's what the SEC does on the back end of a November. But we got to see Arch Manning have that confidence in him that he started with in the beginning of the year, that he finished with last season. So Arch could be in the Heisman conversation for next year. This year, you just weren't that guy. Unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Darius Brockett, I'm not going to let you get away with that comment as a Georgia guy, because that's a tough Charlotte 49er team we played on Saturday. Be careful now. Be
Oh my
careful. That's a
gosh.
that's that's a tough
Kirby
Charlotte
Smart
team.
had to play his fourth string. Wow. Who would have thought he had to go that deep in the vault to win a game? Come on now.
Those
Come
are
on.
tough. Those are tough matchups toward the end of the season. You got to get yourself sharp and right for the playoff. You understand?
Okay, that's what everyone says until all it takes is one loss from one of those teams, and now you're out the playoffs.
I'm gonna tell you, I prefer it this way than the way it was in September, August, September, with some of these cupcakes. It was actually too many. You spread
No,
out the cupcakes that way. I'm
no,
okay with it. What?
I'm the opposite. I think you get the because you need tune-up games. Those tune-up games are that again, college football doesn't have a preseason. So I
Right?
prefer getting us that first 3 weeks of August, that first well, that August to the first 3 weeks of September of just like,
Mhm.
oh, you got to get Georgia versus Northern Illinois. You're going to get Miami versus Toledo. You're going to get Kennesaw State versus Iowa. I'm cool with that because by the time we get into this conference schedule, which now a lot of these teams will be going to 9-game conference schedules. Now
Yeah.
everyone has to be tested. You are ready to play who you need to play. And as long as you have a power four opponent in those non-conference games, I'm fine. I'm not saying everyone needs to have 4 straight cupcakes, but 1 to 2, like I like that Miami this year or the ACC as a whole. And I don't want to make this about Miami, but the ACC as a whole had one of the toughest non-conference schedules. Now, did they lose a lot of them as a whole? Yes. Does that hurt them in the long run? Yes. But when you look at it, it does show that the ACC wasn't scared to go out and compete. You had Florida State play Alabama. You had Miami play Notre Dame. You had them play Florida. You have Virginia Tech having to play South Carolina. Even Texas Tech's Joey McGuire. He talked about it on Dusty and Danny months ago, where hey, just go have a power four schedule. If you and you can do 1 to 2 cupcake games, but if everybody plays everybody, the committee has a full season to look at you instead of just pick out these 3 specific games of what's a good loss or a bad loss. And now everyone can say who's the better conference, who's this. In college basketball, we have that with the ACC, SEC challenge. We have the Big 10, Big 12 challenges. So why can't we just do that in college football?
It's a good question. When you become the czar of college football, you definitely got to put that in.
I would need so many people in my cabinet that I would make so many less decisions that you would think I was a genius. Let's start there. I am not the
Okay.
guy for that job. I
No, that's not true. You could be the head of it, but I'll be right there with you, man. I'll be with you, win or tie. I'll be there to help you.
all right, we're in then. We're locked in. Put us down for 2027.
Notice I didn't say loss. I said win or tie.
Yeah, we don't
So
lose over
so
here.
before I ask you about the Thanksgiving weekend games, I do want to ask you about your fandom about Miami because we have not discussed this. I just want to know the origin story of you being a Miami guy, and then what your thoughts on the program are at this point.
So Miami was the first football team I ever got introduced to.
Okay.
I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C., in the Maryland area. But when it came to football, Miami was the first team I was ever introduced to. And watching that team, it happens to be around 01, 02, 03. So I get to see it at its highest peak before it hits the ACC. And I just never left. Like it wasn't that Maryland was bad. It wasn't like any other local team had my support. It's just that was the first team that introduced me to football, and football was a sport that I fell in love with. So I just never looked back. And as I fast forward now to where Miami is, it's a program that has ups and downs. It is a program that is always close but never there. It's a reason why everyone every year someone says the U is back, the U is back, the U is back, and then it's not back because they lose 2 games, or they show that they can be back and then they're not there. So it's been a roller coaster ride. I wouldn't compare it to a Alabama fan who's been spoiled all their years and then had this season and last season to finally complain. I wouldn't compare it to a Michigan fan. I wouldn't compare it to even Ohio State's fan. But I will say the fandom of Miami in this origin, it doesn't run deep as if I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, but it does run just as hard and just as deep. And I bleed that orange and green.
I totally understand. I got a number of Miami friends that are fans of the program or boosters of the program, so I get it, man. It's better than it was, I think, in the previous regime. But
Yeah.
again, you want to be in the college football playoff, and but without any questions, you want to be able to be that power. I grew up when Miami was a thing, under Jimmy Johnson. I know how good college football is when Miami's good.
Yeah,
So I totally
I
get
got
it,
to watch those documentaries, the U part two, and people
man.
will always look at me like you weren't alive for those. I'm like, no, I wasn't. But if you go 2000, I was definitely around. I saw
Yeah,
that. I can actually remember that. But then I also saw the sanctions and the penalties, Randy Shannon. Then we
yeah.
get Al Golden, and I liked Al Golden. Then we go to Manny Diaz and Mark Richt, and I like again those coaches. I like those coaches. Mario Cristobal, I do like him. I wish he was a little bit more aggressive in his coaching, but again, I'm not a coach. But also, I'm realistic. One thing that I always tell people, I may be a fan of a team, but I'm always realistic. I will tell you if they're
Yeah.
good or if they're bad. I will never sit here and go and be delusional and think that every year is our year. No, there's something wrong with this. There's something wrong with that. So if you ever hear me talk Miami or any of my favorite teams, just know I will be have a honest opinion. Unless currently it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just won a championship. I don't want to hear nothing. I'm in heaven.
well, you can enjoy that. That was a fun ride for the Thunder, that's for sure. So I do want to ask you about these matchups. It's rivalry week for college football.
Ooh,
This is so much fun. I'm into all of it, Darius. Of course, I'm a college football sicko, so I love it. I love the middle of the road college football game
this
we
is what we
get
live
on
for.
Friday. Yeah, that's it's weird, right? You put it on and just like, oh, Tim Brando's in, is in Ames. Like, okay, well, let's turn it on. Let's see what happens, right? I enjoy these middle of the road games on Friday and then rivalry week on Saturday. So we should start though by talking about Ole Miss and Mississippi State because this is more than just the Egg Bowl. This is Lane Kiffin's future that's on the line, and we need to talk about this. We've discussed this before, but this is on the edge of absurdity, Darius Brockett, because and listen, I think we know Lane Kiffin is a climber. Lane Kiffin is never comfortable in his own skin. He's always looking over the fence and see what the other job is. What's the next job that I could take? Never comfortable in the position that he's in. And so I think it's pretty clear that he's good as gone, and that this job he's had in the state of Mississippi was just a job in which he could just climb to the next job, just an opportunity for him to just get over the hump and go someplace else. And so I think it's clear that he's gone no matter what happens in this game. What's your opinion
Well,
on that?
a man that I admire who started my journey in the sports once said these words: "Not so fast, my friend."
Mhm.
Jonathan, as much as I would want to go down that route, there's a big part of me that thinks he stays in Ole Miss. Why? This is the most success he's ever had. He has a environment that's willing to support him. And although yes, we know the history of Lane Kiffin, the tarmac, 1 year at Tennessee, and getting fired at US, like we know the history of him. I think this is also the most comfortable we've ever seen Lane. And to be honest, just like us sitting here talking, there's other outlets who's sitting here talking, and that's like we don't know what Lane's going to do. No one knows. Usually, there's always an inkling. Usually, there's always like a nugget of where like we might have an idea. We get to Friday, last Friday, Pete Thamel puts out a report that, oh yeah, LSU's putting together an offer. Well,
Sure.
he continues and doubles down that, okay, Florida's also putting together an offer. Ole Miss is putting together an offer. And then the Ole Miss athletic director and Keith Carter he puts out a statement saying that we've had positive and poignant conversations, that he will make his decision after the Egg Bowl. But for right now, let's just focus on that and let's get this win. What does that even mean? Because if you say pointed and positive conversations, read the tea leaves, you can go, oh, he's staying. And also, when you're the home team, it's easier to kind of recruit someone to stay at your home because that's where their family's at. And even everyone tried to read the tea leaves of his son Knox. He had on LSU Beats headphones for on a Friday night football game, and everyone's like, "Oh, Lane's going to LSU." None of us know. None of us knows.
That's
I
that's fair. That's fair. But I'm just here to tell you that he is the eight that walks in the bar that you want to hook up with, and you realize it's someone that you don't want to deal with for the rest of your life. You
but
might want
what's
to date that
wrong?
eight. Well, what I'm saying is that he's not worth the trouble because
Not
he's not going to
not at all.
stay.
He's not worth the trouble. But look at what he's done at Ole Miss, at a place that
Fair.
we all had this thought process that he would only stay 2 years and leave. He's done a phenomenal job there. He's recruited well, and I'm just like the conspiracy nut too. I am just like every other conspiracy nut that goes on these message boards and sees what's going on. Except I'm a little bit more relaxed. One thing that I noticed, there was a kid that made a tweet, and this is about 2-3 weeks ago, as everything was still ramping up and everything was going on. Lane Kiffin quotes that tweet, and his quote wasn't like, "Oh, he's a good kid, he's an excellent kid." It was, "Come to the sip." Usually, when coaches know they're going to be leaving out the door, they don't really pitch the idea of telling a kid where to go recruit. They don't even make that public. So again, I'm not a genius here, but I have a gut feeling that I hope, and for everyone listening, hope with a capital H, he stays at Ole Miss. He's done really good there, and they're on their best season there. And for all the fans that are wanting him to make a decision, relax. Don't tarnish something so beautiful that you have just because he has other people flirting with him. That's life. When you're a handsome person, you're going to get flirted with. Be lucky if he's loyal and he stays.
I know you and I have that problem, but still.
Oh, can't get him off me.
I just look at it like, well, let me just tell you, Darius, I hope he stays there for a decade
Yeah,
because you don't necessarily have to have stars just in what you would call blue blood programs. I want him to do the impossible to stay in the state of Mississippi at Ole Miss and get to the national championship. It'll be something completely different, right? For the
yeah.
state of Mississippi, even Mississippi State fans can get down with that. They could be like, okay, at least our state's on the map. I let him stay there.
And I
I mean,
think
if
that's what he's done. He's
well, I
turned it
mean,
in. He slowly, that program was nothing when he got there. No one looked
correct.
at Ole Miss as any form of a competitor. No one looked at Ole Miss with any resemblance of respect when it came to the ACC, to the SEC. So one thing that Lane can always say and hold his head high on, he got to a program when it was bad and then elevated it. Not a lot of people can elevate programs at its worst state. So for anyone at Ole Miss, you got to be happy with that, whether if he chooses to leave or if he chooses to stay.
Some of the other matchups that we're looking forward to over the weekend is Ohio State against Michigan. That's big in these parts. Darius, I'd love for you to spend time in Chicago and check out all the college bars that we have at Wrigleyville and across downtown. I mean, there's plenty of Ohio State and Michigan bars. And so this is always big here in the Midwest. I just want to get your thoughts about how close Michigan can keep this. Seems lopsided to me from Ohio State standpoint, but in a rivalry game, you just never know.
Like you said, you never know, and nothing motivates you better than hate. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is in college football. Nothing motivates people more than hate. The
Yeah.
team over there, the team over there. Why do you hate them so much? And Maryland played against Michigan last week, and Michigan unloaded a can of you know what on them. But
Yeah.
it was a weird game. Did it feel like they were saving something? Why didn't we see Bryce Underwood run a lot? Well, you got to play Michigan, and this is where you can show off everything that you have. And for those Michigan fans out there, you can put it in the comments when this video drops. How many days has it been since Ohio State beat Michigan? Give me the number. I know it's over 2,000 at this point.
Yeah.
And there's a random counter I know because I looked it up on Sunday where it just tells you how many days it's been to. It's a random website. I wish I could remember the name of it, where it just counts down every day and it's a new meme of like the Ohio State Buckeyes losing. That shows how much things can change. So even if this game feels like it should be a runaway, right now the odds makers have it as a let me see. They have it as a double-digit spread, but
Hmm.
not even like a crazy. It's 10 points. There's a chance. That's what you're telling Michigan fans. There's a chance that if we get this within 10, we can win this game. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how good this offense is, how good that defense is. If we find a way, we will win this game. And I think that's the fun part about it. Oh, it's at 9.5 now. It is now at 9.5. So, Michigan fans, you have a chance. That team has a chance. Sharon Moore has done a very good job with Bryce Underwood. The Northwestern game may not look good, didn't look good 2 weeks ago, but against Maryland, he looked fine. They have a chance. Ohio State, this is your chance to submit your legacy. You win, you're in. You lose, you are most likely still in unless you were to lose in the conference championship. But you win this game. Not only does the flip side of bragging rights go back to you guys, but also your college football playoff is cemented.
Also, Texas A&M against Texas, another rivalry game. The dominance of the Aggies we've discussed, but then Arch Manning. I want you to give our listeners and viewers your letter grade for Arch Manning, because we got a feeling that A&M can win the game. But just your overall thoughts on Manning as a quarterback.
Arch this season, if I had to put a letter grade on him, ooh, I would give him a B. I would give him a
Hmm.
B. Again, he started off a little shaky, little unnerving to where everyone was questioning why did it look like he was wincing on certain throws? Was he hurt? What's going on with his shoulder? Sark had to shut that down and say he's fine. Then we saw him get confidence against those cupcake games. Like we said, those tune-up games that we all love in the first month of football.
Yeah.
And then you see they lose to Florida, and you're like, "Ooh, whoa, what's up? What's going on with you? What's happening, bro?" And then he slowly develops again. And so that roller coaster ride, you can never have an A+ game, but you do see him slowly putting it together each week. The offense opening up more and more. Here's the problem. You're going to play against, I know I said earlier Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the country. Yeah, another one also resides not only in your conference but in your state down at College Station in Texas A&M. That is a defense that you are going to have to run into, and they are hungry. They are going to come after you. They are going to blitz. Mike Elko is going to be aggressive. He's going to make that quarterback uncomfortable over there by the name of Arch Manning. Is there a way they can do it? 1,000% they can win. When you have an offensive mastermind like Steve Sarkisian, there's
Yeah.
never a moment it's out of a doubt. Right now, Texas A&M on the betting line, it's 2.5 for those degenerates out there that love to earn them some money. You got to
Hmm.
get it at 2.5. But there's also a chance that Texas can do something crazy. Right now, sitting at 8-3, nothing to lose currently. Their playoff hopes are pretty much out the way right now, unless they win this game, where you see them throw everything at the wall. Again, nothing motivates a team better than hate in college football. So who knows? I do think Texas A&M still wins this game, though.
Yeah. Darius, is there a question I failed to ask you that resonated with you as far as the college football weekend or we're going to see this week?
No, you got everything. I think we hit everything. The biggest thing so far is Ole Miss Lane Kiffin. Like you said, it's weird to have to be courted and you don't have a lot on your resume. There's only
Hmm.
3 national championship coaches in college football right now. That is Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, and then you have Ryan Day. So for all these coaches that are out here getting courted, it is very interesting to see how Lane's name is the hottest name out there. James Franklin going to Virginia Tech, that's amazing. I think that'll do
Hmm.
wonders for that pipeline. But outside of that, I'm just ready to eat some food and watch some football. I think
Yeah.
this is this is what we all wait for in college football because every game now has so much more of a determining factor. And to anyone who said the 12-team playoff would diminish the value of the regular season, clearly you owe anyone who tried to tell you the 12-team playoff was perfect an apology because this week of games matter so much more than if it was a 14 playoff.
I hope the apology matches the long rants we've been seeing on social media and on video from the pillars of the college football community that said exactly what you just said. I hope
Yeah,
I hope we get that apology. I don't think we're going to get that apology though.
we should. because I will go on the record, and I've said this to numerous people behind closed doors. I've gone on records numerous times. 12 is
Mhm.
perfect. We don't need to expand. We know the Big 12 wants to go to a 24 model. What this isn't college basketball. Let's relax.
Yeah.
12 is perfect. And if you think it's not, look at what we have now. Look at what we had last year. Yes, there still need to be tweaks made to it, but 12 is beautiful.
Lastly, sir, and I appreciate your time. What is the must-have at the Brockett household for Thanksgiving?
I am a simple man, and I know this is going to be a very divisive statement. Stuffing is a must have. Dressing, whatever you call it, that
Yeah.
is my go-to on every side dish. I know I could say mac and cheese, I could say yams, I could say collard, I could say turkey or ham. I
Hmm.
do not even care about the protein. I've had fried chicken at one Thanksgiving, I've had a turkey at one Thanksgiving, I've had a ham, I've had someone try to do a mix of a turducken. Throw it out the way. Don't care. Don't care. Is there going to be stuffing and or slash dressing, depending on how you call it? Will that be
Uh-huh.
there? And at least I need my own pan. That is that is the must have.
Your own pan, is that what you said?
Yes, gotta have my own pan.
I would agree that stuffing is definitely on the team photo. You got to have that because you don't have it year round. You only have it during this time of year.
1000%. You it had that is your six man off the bench. That is your six man. They may
What?
not
How?
get love, but they're dropping 30.
Where is cranberry sauce on your list?
Ah, all the way. That's like all the way at the end of the bench, 12th man.
Okay.
You get in on garbage time. If I feel like you've earned a minute, you got to show me in practice. I'm fine. You're good. You're
That's
here,
funny.
but it's just because we couldn't get we couldn't get juice on the roster yet. We didn't have enough juice on the roster yet.
Totally understand. Tell people where to find you on YouTube and your social media platforms, Darius.
You guys can find me at Brockett Media everywhere.
Yep.
Brockett Media. For anyone else with more confusion, Rocket, add the B in front and an extra T. It is that simple. I am very grateful for this, Jonathan. I always like that you have me on, or you at least ask me to be on, and if I can, I will always say yes to you. This is fun. When are we going to talk about these Bears? They're amazing. I love them. Hey, they're doing well. They're doing well. I want to hate so bad, but it's so hard. It's so hard. You guys are so good.
It is. It's been great to be able to watch a team that has gone through a lot this season, especially with the injuries on the defensive end, and still next man up mentality, and they just
Mhm.
continue to fill the bill. And by the way, Darius, this is not a team of dominance. The Chicago Bears,
Not at
they're
all. It's
not.
a
They're,
team of luck.
it's a team. It's a team of luck meeting skill,
Windy
and this
City
is
luck.
where you can find the coaching and the skill and the luck all mixed in. Hey, brother, you never apologize for 8-3. Like whether or
Never.
not you, because it's funny around here, a lot of people are not into college football as much as I am, but you'll have callers talking about strength of schedule in the NFL, and I always find that funny because I call them out as college football fans. Oh no, I don't like college football. Then
Oh,
then why are you
the
talking college football with me then? They say
yeah.
why are you talking about strength of schedule? Like we have a Denver
I
Broncos fan that calls in and does the same thing, talks about the strength of schedule. I go, have you seen the Broncos strength of schedule? Did you not lose against the Raiders? Like it's
yeah.
just funny to me because to me, the NFL is a whole different conversation. Man, it's so hard to win. Man, when you win, you bank it.
You better enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's strength of schedule conversation. If they ever have that, bring them straight to the college level and they'll have 14 billion conversations of why this team's better than that team because they had to play 8 SEC opponents. And oh, I can't get started. I will get flustered and this will lead into a whole nother debate here. Strength
I
of
call them out all the
schedule.
time, but on behalf of college football fans like me, and I prefer college
We
over the
appreciate
NFL.
you.
I've always been that way, which makes me the odd duck around here, which is all good. I don't mind being different. The point is, though, is that um, the strength of schedule conversation falls on deaf ears when you talk about the NFL.
Yeah,
NFL,
that
even the bad teams are good. They have good
yeah.
players.
You
So
play who's on the schedule and you got to win those games.
you got to win them. I've been through enough 3-8 seasons. I'm good with the 8-3. Just put it that way.
Breath of fresh air.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, man. I appreciate you as always.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Be safe. Everyone that's out there, enjoy some good football, enjoy some good basketball. College basketball is around the corner. I know everyone doesn't talk about it. I also am people who don't talk about it, but I will in December. So look out for that as I cover the Maryland Terps men's and women's basketball team. But let's enjoy everybody. Everyone be safe. And again, Jonathan, thank you again.